1, 2, 3. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the sun begins to shine. Oh, when the sun begins to shine. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the new world is revealed. Oh, when the new world is revealed. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the new world is revealed. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in.
Our opening words today are by Philip Hewitt. It's called From the Fragmented World. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather in search of wholeness. By many cares and preoccupations, by diverse and selfish aims, are we separated from one another and divided within ourselves. Yet we know that no branch is utterly severed from the tree of life that sustains us all. We cherish our oneness with those around us and the countless generations that have gone before us. We would hold fast to all of good we inherit, even as we would leave behind us the outworn and the false. We would escape from bondage to the ideas of our own day and from the delusions of our fancy. Let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day without hatred, violence, and injustice. Let us nurture the growth in our lives of the love that has shone in the lives of the greatest people, the rays of whose lamps will illumine our way. In this spirit we gather, in this spirit we pray. Welcome, good people, to worship on this very important day, when in a short time we will bring an end to our service and convene annual meeting, which not only is important to the running of the church, but should be revered by the people of this congregation. Self-government and the use of the democratic process in all our affairs being religious principles to Unitarian Universalists. Welcome on this day, which is part of Pride Month for our LGBTQ members and friends, and the rest of us as allies. Today, June 14th, is Children's Day, and I wish all the children of this congregation joy, happiness, and play as the long school year, made longer and a little stranger due to the necessary precaution around the novel COVID-19 virus, is finally winding down. Soon summer will be here, and I wish you good fun and much rest as together we explore, all of us, that long-awaited season, summer, and what it will be like in this never to be forgotten year of 2020. Once again, I say, welcome. And as Carl Jacobs comes forward to light our chalice, I will read our chalice lighting words. They are the mission statement of the Keene Unitarian Universalist Church. The people of KUUC are committed to actively creating compassionate community and working for a fair and peaceful world.
Our story today comes from Western Africa, from the Ashanti people. It is a story about Anansi, a trickster, joke maker, sometimes called God of Wisdom, sometimes the King of Stories. In today's story, there is no trickery, and Anansi gains wisdom. This story came to me from a book by Elisa Permain. The book is called Once Upon a Time, Stories to Build Character and Prevent Bullying. I'll put some links to more information about Anansi and that book on the religious exploration page of our website, KUUC.org. But like most storytellers, I've taken the story and turned it into a special one for here, for now, for you. Our story begins the day that Anansi and his wife, Aho, welcomed their first child, a son. When Anansi looked first upon the boy, he was shocked and took a step back because the baby had big eyes, really big eyes, gigantic eyes, unnaturally huge eyes. And Anansi said, "Oh no, people will make fun of him." But Aho clicked her tongue like this. "Do not judge too harshly. His eyes will serve him well, and good may yet come of this." And as the boy grew, Anansi and his wife realized that his eyes enabled him to see for miles and miles and miles. So Anansi named him Sees Far. In due time, another child came to the family, another son, and this son was born with huge muscles, big muscles in his shoulders, in his arms, his back, his legs. Anansi looked upon him and said, "People are going to make fun of him." And Aho said, "Do not judge too harshly. His muscles will serve him well, and good may yet come of this." And as the boy grew, they realized that his muscles enabled him to rip up entire trees from the roots, one after another. So, of course, Anansi named him Clear's Forests. Yet time went by, and another son was born to the family, and this child had a big mouth, huge mouth, gigantic mouth. Anansi again looked upon the child and gasped and said, "People are going to make fun of him." And Aho clicked her tongue and said, "Do not judge too harshly. His mouth will serve him well, and good may yet come of this." He grew. His parents realized that with that large mouth, he was able to swallow great amounts of water. So they named him Drinks the Waters. Time went by and another son was born to the family. This child was also a little unusual. His hands were large, the fingers were long, and at the ends of the fingers were very long, sharp nails. This might seem a little odd, but at the time and where Anansi lived, he and his sons had to fish and hunt. So this time Anansi looked upon him and he thought, those could be useful. And as time went on, they realized that his long fingers and long nails enabled him to skin game and fillet fish very quickly. So he was named Skins Game. Yet another son was born to the family not too long after this. This child had big muscles in his arms, big, strong hands. And Anansi looked upon the child and he said, his muscles may serve him well, and good may yet come of this. This child was able to throw stones far with great accuracy, and so they named him Throws Stone. One last child was born to the family, again a son, and this child was, if possible, even more unusual than all the others. He was as large around as he was tall, and very squishy, and other children liked to jump on him, so they named him Large as a Bed. At one point, after the boys were grown, Anansi took some goods and was setting off to the market to sell them, and he was gone longer than anyone expected. Aho began to worry, and her oldest son, Seesfar, said, "Don't worry, Mother." He climbed to a tall tree, and he was able to see far away through a thick jungle, at the bottom of a deep lake, in the belly of a giant fish, there was Anansi. He climbed down and told his family what was going on, and his next brother, Clear's Forest, said, "Don't worry," and he ripped up trees to make a path through the jungle so that they could all get to the side of the lake. Once there, Aho said, "What will we do now? How can we get to the fish?" The next brother, Drinks Water, bent down to the side of the lake and drank up all the water until they could walk out and get the fish when the next brother, Skins Game, slit open the fish to reveal Anansi, alive but weak and frail. Before there could be a joyous reunion with the family, a giant bird swooped down and picked him up, so weak was he, and flew off into the sky. Aho began to exclaim, but the next brother, Throws Stone, said, "Don't worry." He picked up a stone and threw it far, far into the sky. It hit the bird, which made him drop Anansi, and then Aho exclaimed, "Oh no, my husband will perish." But Large as a Bed said, "Don't worry." And he lay down underneath where his father was falling so that his fall was cushioned and Anansi was safe. Not too long after this, Anansi was walking in the forest and he found a beautiful gem, white, round, perfect, with a subtle glow. He knew this was a very special thing, and he wanted to give it to the son who had saved him. But he couldn't figure out which one to give it to. Was it Seesfar, who looked through many miles to find where he was? Was it Clear's Forest, who made the path? Was it Drinks Waters, who removed the lake so they could get to the fish? Skins Game, who opened the fish? Was it Throws Stone, who knocked the bird so that he would drop Anansi? Or Large as a Bed, who caught him from his fall? And after puzzling over this for a long time, he went into the house to talk to his wife. And she said, "Each gift is useless without all the others. None is more worthy." Anansi realized that she was right, so he spoke to the sky god, Nyame, and asked her to hold the gem so that everyone could appreciate it and admire it and enjoy it. And that's where the moon is still, so that each person of worth, each person can enjoy it. And that is where our story ends.
Our interlude this morning is hymn number 148, "Let Freedom Span Both East and West." Donna will play all the verses, and I will send you the words so that you can sing along at home. Let us put aside our cares and take a few deep breaths in and out, good and strong. Let's put aside our fretting over social distancing now and whatever other things are weighing on our minds. The kids, the lake, the lawn, the economy, and straighten ourselves up a bit. Let your breathing be natural now. Soften your eyes. Let go of the tension in your neck, your shoulders. Let your hands rest on your lap. We have many things to do today, but isn't that true of most days? So relax into your breath. You may be feeling pain, soreness of body, or some emotional turbulence. You may feel many other things too, but for now, just let those things be. And feel your breath coming in. Let it refresh your body. Let it feed your spirit. And as you exhale, let go of all that is unnecessary, all that wears you down. Breathe in peace. Breathe out love. Breathe in the silence now, as if you were here with me and the rest of your friends. Can you see their faces? Can you hear the squeal of a child? Smell the flowers in the garden, the newly cut grass? Take it all in and let it all go. In the silence, we will now enter together. Blessed be, and blessed are we. Our prayer is adapted from the medieval mystic, Benedictine abbess, composer, writer, and naturalist Hildegard of Bingen. Take on what posture of prayer suits you best as we begin. Fire of the Spirit, life of the lives of creatures, spiral of sanctity, bond of all natures, glow of charity, lights of clarity, taste of sweetness to the fallen. Be with us and hear us. Composer of all things, joy in the glory, strong honor, be with us and hear us. Amen. Dear members and friends of the Keene Unitarian Universalist Church, we wouldn't be where we are today, entering our annual meeting with a balanced budget, if you hadn't continued to show your belief in the need for our liberal church by continuing to support it through the long, strange spring of this restive year. You trust in the possibilities inherent in this community of loving souls, in the inclusiveness of our free religion, in what we can do in the coming years to make our mission a living covenant between us as individuals and between the congregation and the people beyond our doors. I am so proud to be your minister today, you who, undaunted by the threat of this strange and fearsome year. We're unwilling to part with your building or cut loose your staff, and instead gave your time, talent, and yes, treasure to keep it moving forward. As you have faced down the worry of the moment, let your generosity continue to flow. There is much ahead for us to do, and a great need in this region for the happiness, hope, and health that we know and look to share. So give what you will by writing your pledge check and sending it in, or contributing via use of the donate button on our website, www.kuuc.org. Our offertory is the hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit, which was written by Jim Scott, who came to visit us here at KUUC a few years ago. Donna and Carl will play through all the verses, and you can use the words that will be before you. May this offering, so generously given, be wisely used. Our reading this morning is by the great 20th century theologian Reinhold Niebuhr. It's called "We Must Be Saved." Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. I've called the message for today, "Forced into Opportunity." I take great satisfaction from the game of baseball, and my playing days now over, except for occasional tossing of the ball with our kids out in the yard. I enjoy still watching it very much. No doubt this summer will be a few degrees sadder and more humdrum to me without the chance to watch the swamp bats of an evening. It is a strange thing, baseball, for those playing or even in the grandstands watching. There are tests of one's patience and stamina. Sometimes it seems that the game will go on forever. There are long stretches with nothing seems to be happening, and a storehouse of head games that go on between pitchers and hitters, between base runners and pitchers, or between managers concerning where the outfielders should be positioned to defend against a particular batter's strengths. There, the question of how long to leave a tiring pitcher in the game, or when to put a pinch hitter whose skills might be better suited to face a relief pitcher, are decisions that could cost the game. There is a lot of strategy in the game. There are also occasional errors made in fielding one's position or running the bases that can alter the course of the game. It is not unusual for lightning to strike, and all of a sudden, a very close game turns into a blowout. Sometimes, when you just happen to be standing in the long line at the concession stand, or if watching from home, you are upstairs fixing yourself a sandwich. Sometimes the unlikeliest of players can surprise you, and through a stellar play or a powerful hit, claim the day. In a close or low-scoring game, players and their managers are forced to create their own opportunities to score. And that idea, the idea of being forced into opportunity, is the one I want to discuss with you today. In many ways, this year was looking to be a difficult one, even before the novel COVID-19 pandemic struck and the long-standing racial discord in this country exploded into the national conversation, not simply because of the murders of George Floyd, as gruesome as that was, and several other people of color, but because of the white supremacist culture in which we live and the systemic racism in the law, in the operational assumptions of law enforcement, the blindness to it we betray when we tell our national story, the way it is embedded in our language. Before all these catastrophes, it seemed like we were struggling. Now I wonder if we haven't been forced into opportunity. I first learned about this phrase of being forced into opportunity at an online class that I took part in through Harvard Divinity School, entitled Religious Resources in living through crisis. I'm not certain exactly who said it. It might have been me, but I don't think so. Or whether it was one of the several professors or students, many of whom were clergy. Excuse me. Or if it came up in the lectures or small group meaning-making sessions where we discussed what we were learning, reading, and thinking about. But it did come up, and it affected me deeply as I thought about how our year has been transformed in some ways and how we seem to be operating in some ways much better as a team, even though we've been separated from each other. From whatever source it came, the idea of being forced into opportunity really captured my imagination and also affirmed what has been my recent experience of KUUC. Why do I say this? Well, first, because we feel more connected to each other in this time of necessary separation than we have been in some time. I have had so many positive, personal, and forward-looking conversations with people about life, about their joys and fears and the future. It has made me feel like we have crossed over to a new way of being together. Because we have learned so much from the different adaptations we have needed to make even some of the most basic elements of congregational life work. Perhaps this separation has made us think more about what the church means to us, what it has meant perhaps to our parents and grandparents. I know that I have learned many things as we have gone on with our virtual services, the Zoom coffee hour, the e-blast ministry offerings, and even online committee meetings, which for me have been on average a third shorter than they otherwise would have been, even when the number of agenda items haven't really changed very much. I have seen and discovered through these processes ways that we can better serve the congregation, ways that we can broadcast our message and improve the ways we tell our story and spread our mission beyond these walls. Finally, we have come to this day where we all become equally invested in our collective future, with a reasonable and balanced budget, which several of us worked on, making cuts where we could, and sacrificing some things that will be challenging. But we worked as a team. So in the coming year, we need to keep up our end of the bargain by supporting the good people who we will soon vote on to fill key positions and live up to the financial pledges we have recently made. But it is also time for us to develop a strategy. It is time for us to actively force ourselves to opportunity by providing the congregation of this church a comprehensive vision of KUUC in all of its functions, from ministry programs to environmental, economic, and racial justice work, from managing our finances to creating institutional connections tied into our mission, from taking on the challenges of COVID-19 that still limit us. It is time, no long past time, that we created a vision for our community and congregation that is motivating, that is the result of all voices being heard, and that challenges us to reach for the stars and know when what might at first have been considered a disaster forces us to find in it opportunity for connection, growth, learning, adapting, and being bold in our faith. So let it be as it should be. As we leave this service of worship, and prepare for our upcoming meeting for business, in the light of our shared ministry, it seems fitting to close with those famous words attributed to our Universalist forebear, Richmond's own Hosea Ballou, who said, "If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, no other agreement can do us any good. So let us endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bonds of peace." Go in peace and with a purpose.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of the Diamond Desert, while all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, a voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters.